Today is the first day of February, second month of the year. Coach Potatoes back again for some more reviewing of what has gone on this last week. I'm here with my co-host, Dallas Joyce, of course. That's him. But we are back going to talk a bunch about some news. It is a slow news week because there isn't much going on. So I thought we'd just go ahead and just talk about some of the stories that happened this week. Obviously been some big trading happening, big trade rumors, big hirings, big NBA news. I think we should just go ahead and jump right into it. Go ahead and start it off with a little bit less than appetizing, I'm sure, for Dallas to talk about. But the Nets at Wizards, the final moments of this game were incredible.
Yeah, I mean, legendary choke. Already bounced back, which is nice. We beat the Thunder, but we'll talk about that a little later. This one hurt to just allow the three-pointer, the steal, just not something that I thought was even possible to do. And the first season I decided to jump on, be a bandwagon fan. It happens to my team, so.
Yeah, it was not ideal for sure. If anyone hasn't seen it yet, in the final moments of the game, Bradley Beal hits a just totally contested jump shot in between two guys. I'm a big fan of Bradley Beal, to be honest, on the Wizards. And then after that, the inbounds pass from the Nets is stolen by the Wizards again. And Russell Westbrook just chucks up one for, the hell of it.
Yeah.
Basically off of like half a foot and just drops it.
Yeah, just net.
Nothing but freaking net. Keeping it PG-13 around here. Nothing but net. It was quite incredible to see it. And sadly, the one of the people responsible for this catastrophe is Kyrie himself. It was a choking. Kyrie after the game said he couldn't guard a stick last night. That's pretty apt. I think that's hilarious. That's probably the best way I've ever heard like any sort of like player or like anyone just talk about themselves. Just like, I couldn't guard a stick. I think this like goes down as like one of those like Marshawn Lynch like talking to reporters or like just one of those moments in like history where it's just like, why did you say that, bro?
I think it is backhanded to the team that just beat you too. I mean, they had to come out and beat you, and they did it. It's not that they were as weak as a stick. I mean, it's just, I didn't care for the comment, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's funny regardless. I think he's trying to make himself sound like he's got some humility and like responsibility. Yeah. But at the same time, it's kind of like, I don't know. I don't even know how to call it. It's just kind of seems like he's just trying to like save his own ass, if you will.
Yeah, it's important that they bounced back after a comment like that. If he had said something like that and tried to be humble and not bounced back, would have been frustrating.
Yeah, but that was last night, so I think the Nets will be okay moving forward. We'll talk about them at the latter half of the show. Next, I think one of the biggest stories that's happened like this whole NFL season is quarterbacks are no longer just safe. It's not a safe position that won't get traded. No one has heard yet, Matthew Stafford, quarterback of the Lions, I think he got drafted in like 2009, I want to say. First overall pick was traded to the Lions for Jared Goff, 2 first-round picks in the future, and a third-round pick this year.
Yeah. A lot to break down. What you started with is no quarterback safe. Like, Stafford has been moved. Goff has been moved. Reports people wanted Aaron Rodgers. I mean, no one is sacred.
From the report I read, it said that the Rams reached out to the Packers, but the Packers luckily declined. Because I think most Packers fans these days are just Rodgers fans. I don't think they would have much of a fan base without their Rodgers guys.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like Rodgers wants to move on just yet.
Yeah.
At least not to the degree maybe Deshaun Watson wants to.
Yeah, well, I think the biggest part of the story is with Matthew Stafford moving to the Rams, he's going to a much better defense. Last time Stafford had a good defense, he went 11-5. So we'll have to see where he takes it next. Funny thing, part of the story is that he requested to not be sent to the Patriots.
Didn't like what he had in Matt Patricia already.
Yeah, I can totally understand that. Not wanting just to repeat the Patriots cycle again and be thrown back into that cesspit that is the Patriots, I guess.
Right now, it's weird to say it, but if Cam Newton, who did have a bad year, can't get you over 500, I don't think Matthew Stafford is alone going to get you to the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm just not sure what Stafford would have given the Patriots. I know they were like top contenders for the quarterback, but at the end of the day, like they need a playmaker. They need a Watson. They need someone who can get away because like their offensive line is good, but like they just have to sit back there so long as none of the receivers are ever open.
Yeah, they need to take advantage of this quarterback free for all. I can't think of anyone other than maybe not too coveted, but Daniel Jones.
Potential trade there, huh?
Yeah. God, who is the Jets' current?
Sam Darnold. Yeah.
Sam Darnold is who I was thinking of. A cannon.
Yeah, he does have a cannon arm. I'm just not sure if he's going to be, I know he's probably not the Jets' future, but where does he go now, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And even if he is, it's like, I mean, I guess the Jets have the 2 overall pick now. So It's probably going to be Trevor Lawrence and either Justin Fields or Penei Sewell, depending on who the Jets want to take. I don't know. This draft and this whole offseason is going to be so interesting with all these moving parts.
Yeah, and I mean, there were other teams involved too. North Carolina offered pick number 8 for Stafford this year. Something important is the Lions didn't get a first rounder in this upcoming draft. It is 2022 and 2023.
Yeah.
So choosing not to get the 8th pick in this draft.
Yeah, mostly because the Rams have given away all of their first-round picks.
Yeah, didn't have one to give.
You know who the Rams picked last in the first round?
No.
Jared Goff.
Oh, that's poetic.
It's the last time they ever picked someone in the first round. And I think they gave up 3 picks total, not first-round picks, but I think it was a couple first, maybe.
Was it to move up?
To move up to get Jared Goff. And then they had used 2 more, or 3 more picks to get rid of him.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, so it's funny to see them try to move up so far and for it to fail, and then they just trade all the way back.
And to have to give up so much currently, including the guy you traded up for, just for someone that you could have traded for probably all along.
Yeah, and I think this move really speaks to how much the Rams care way more about Sean McVay than any player. Clearly, Sean McVay has been critical of Goff this year. There's been a lot of debate and will Goff stay? Will Goff go? Will Goff be the backup? Will Wolford? Remember a couple weeks ago we heard that Wolford and Goff were going to have a competition in the training camp. So, you're good. Which didn't come to fruition, obviously. But now they have Matt Stafford, so I guess there's really no comp anymore, no competition for him as a starter.
Yeah, I think Stafford came in and secured the position. It was interesting what Goff had to say, basically first thing to media when talking about being traded, how it's nice to feel appreciated, and he's not even there. You had mentioned that to me as you got here. And I've thought about it a lot since. It's just, I think it goes to show and reverbalizes what you were saying, in that what McVay wants and what he thinks is ultimately the direction the Rams are going to go right now.
Yeah, I feel like the Rams ownership is definitely on the side of McVay for the most part, and which they should be. He got to a Super Bowl,
Yeah.
Wasn't able to pull it through. Lost to Tom Brady, who only scored 13 points that whole game. But at the end of the day, the Rams were able to get there, which there's not a whole lot of coaches in NFL history, that have got there. So I think if you got one, you got to hold on to them until it's clear that they're not good enough.
Yeah, and I think they gave him a fair amount of time, and to get Stafford, who's only 32, it shows trading away the next 3 years, pretty much, of first rounders for this guy shows they want the next 3 years is the window for winning, and then they'll evaluate from there.
And I think they definitely have a closed, or not a closed, but a very slightly open window for their defense. Their defensive coordinator has left, but they still retain their players like Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald. But Aaron Donald's starting to get old. He might end up having a little injury bug. He had a couple injuries he suffered through this last postseason. So we'll have to see where he takes his career. In the future, I think he'll probably still be dominant throughout his whole career. At least a decent starter into his older years, but I don't know. I think there's a very slim window, and I think it's a smart move to take advantage of when your team is like kind of young and kicking, than when you're down in a few years and you're like, oh, now let's get a quarterback.
Yeah.
I think it's smarter to be proactive rather than reactive.
And something that you had said that even other football fans have told me is part of that proactiveness is not only just not using your first rounders, but you have to hit on it in the same way you would use your first rounders. It's not traditional, but McVay's making it work.
Yeah, I agree. I'm definitely gonna love watching this competition between McVay and Shanahan in the future. Shanahan being in the same division, it's going to be an interesting matchup to say the least, especially with the 49ers were attempting to get Stafford.
Yeah.
And failed to get him, and now the Rams have him. So it'll be interesting dynamic. I'm sure there's bad blood there and some hurt feelings and whatnot. And I'm glad that we get to continue to see those two coaches, go up against each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. But any other thoughts before we go to the next topic?
I think before we move on, it would be interesting to know if you think there's a winner here, or if both teams kind of just saw something they needed to get done and got it done.
Yeah, you're right. I think that is a good point to make. Right now, I think that the Lions had a terrible head coach hiring. I think he could prove me wrong if he wants to, but I don't know if I don't think it'll be successful. I think guys like that who kind of shoot from the hip, they don't seem very confident. They don't seem logical. They just kind of seem like where they're gonna. If you give them a bye week, they're just going to play Oklahoma drills all week kind of thing. So I feel like Dan Campbell is not going to be a winner, and I feel like rebuilding a franchise around someone who's not probably going to be a winner is probably not going to work. Because you look at the historically great coaches, the Bill Walshes, the Bill Belichick's,
Tom Landry's.
The Tom Landry's, Lombardi. There's so many options you can think of. But it's just not. I lost my train of thought.
None of them bit kneecaps.
Exactly. They're not these gung ho shoot from the hip kind of guys. They're these calm, collected.
Yeah.
The recipe's already been shown to us. I don't know why we keep getting these gung ho kind of guys that are going to be crazy. But either way, I think the winner, to answer your question, is going to be the Rams at the end. Just because I think the Lions are going to continue to choke until they have new ownership.
Yeah, well said. I lean a lot with what you're saying. There is a relief for the Rams that the Goff contract has been lifted. They aren't responsible after next year. But Dan Campbell doesn't seem like he's going to take advantage of these next picks.
Yeah.
An extra third this year. I don't know if he's even started to introduce an idea of what he wants to do with this team.
Yeah, and I sure hope they don't give him any roster control or anything like that, because I think that would just be a mess.
Well, he's head coach. I mean, why wouldn't they?
I don't think he. I think you keep Dan Campbell in a locker until game day, and he just comes out and starts yelling at everyone.
I don't think you can name that guy head coach and him not immediately take control.
I feel like his only way Dan Campbell is going to be useful to them is to set the energy on Sundays.
Yeah, so sort of like John Gruden.
I don't know. He has no strategy history, in my opinion. He doesn't. He's been an assistant head coach for the Saints for the last few years. And previous to that, he had a good little stint when he was interim head coach for the Dolphins. I believe after Adam Gase was fired, or maybe I think it was the coach before that got fired, and then they hired Adam Gase. But it was confusing to see them hires an assistant head coach when there's Eric Bieniemy, Dable from the Bills, their offensive coordinator. There's a lot of players or coaches, available, and I just think it's stupid to see them, shoot for such like low hanging fruit where they can probably just want to control him. Honestly, I feel like the best way to utilize Dan Campbell is just, let him out on Sundays, keep him in the angry shed, and just play like hardcore rock the whole week, and then as soon as game day starts, just open, yacht rock,
dad rock, yacht rock.
You think he's like a Jimmy Buffett fan?
I'm talking Jimmy Buffett, Warren Buffett, ZZ Top.
So Dan Campbell's a parrot head, is what you're saying?
Yeah, sleeveless shirts, Hawaiian shirts, parrot head.
Tommy Bahama wear, shops heavily at the Tommy Bahama outlet.
Salt Life
tattooed on his across his back.
Yeah, that's Dan Campbell.
Wow. Yeah, I think that definitely could be Dan Campbell. I think that will be his future. They enrage him all week by playing the same Jimmy Buffett song. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, and they open the door at 5 a.m. on Sunday. Just let him loose. He just starts yelling at players, insulting their children.
Yeah, 5 o'clock is Campbell time.
It's Campbell. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Wow. Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens in the future with Campbell and all this, but I'll give the question off to you. I've talked way too much about this. What do you think about this?
No, exactly what you said. I think right now the Rams are the winners. Time will tell if the Lions utilize what they got, but if they don't, then they just are going to pay a guy a lot of money to perform worse than Stafford will for the next 3 years. I think that's fair to say. No matter, even if Goff gets better, I don't think he outperforms Stafford and the offense that he's getting as opposed to Goff and what Goff's getting.
Yeah, and, Goff has had the rumors that, Sean McVay's calling the schemes for him and stuff, or calling out the coverages and all that kind of stuff. So we'll have to see where Goff goes. I don't think Goff will be terrible. I do think Goff will have a very Matt Hasselbeck-esque career. Maybe be a starter for a while and then end up being a backup. I think that's where his career lies. But are you ready to go ahead and go to the next topic, or you got some more thoughts on this one?
No, that's good. A good segue point is how you said Dan Campbell is sort of a guy to be hired because he can be controlled. Mm-hmm. If we can jump to the Titans,
absolutely,
interim promotions next. The Shane Bowen defensive coordinator move and Todd Downing to offensive coordinator. A fun sprinkle of Dean Pease deciding to join the Atlanta Falcons in this topic. I think would have been a better defensive coordinator. Allegedly, we asked, and he preferred to follow Arthur and help him set something up over there in Atlanta.
I guess they probably, I don't know, maybe he realized the organization was, I heard that the Falcons have good ownership, so maybe he likes the Falcons ownership better, is more in line with Arthur Smith's kind of legacy and all that. So I don't know. We'll have to see where they go as a team. But I mean, as far as either team, I think he was well suited playing or coaching for either team.
Yeah, and the only reason I bring up your point about a hire for control is maybe Dean Pease didn't want to follow the same roadmap that Vrabel had set out. Yeah. Maybe Todd Downing is a guy, or I'm sorry, Todd Downing is the offensive coordinator. Shane Bowen is the type of guy that'll just do what Vrabel says.
Yeah, so they're both inside hires though.
Yeah, they are. They are both within. Todd Downing was tight end coach after replacing Arthur Smith when we made him offensive coordinator.
Gotcha. Who replaced Arthur Smith when he was the cook or the janitor or whatever he played,
Uh,
or whatever he was.
I think that was the point the position Jeff Fisher downgraded to after losing his head coach position.
Wow! So he was not only the Rams head coach, but also head chef.
He was doing both.
Impressive.
Yeah,
impressive guy.
It was a lot to juggle. It explains his mediocre record with the Rams and his missed draft picks. Honestly,
great cook though.
Great, phenomenal. Helped the Titans get a lot of good meals in. Shane Bowen was our outside linebackers coach, so kind of a role that Vrabel had before becoming defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's a lot of correlation between what this guy has done, what Vrabel has done, and I just want to see our defense get better. And I don't know if this makes it better.
I don't know if it makes it a ton better. I think at least it'll look a little competent next year. Just being that Vrabel doesn't have all of the responsibilities for it. There's another guy at least looking at it.
Yeah.
And then Vrabel can kind of give it the okay nod, kind of. Because honestly, I don't know if Vrabel's kind of roadmap is wrong. Because we haven't really been shown that it's not working. AFC Championship, making it to the wild card round this year. Playoffs 2 years in a row. It clearly Vrabel's doing something right.
Yeah.
It can't be that two different offensive coordinators carried him there. There's something going right for the Titans. So we'll see. I'm definitely interested to see where they take this team, where the new coaching hires will take this whole team as a whole. But at the same time, I'm still optimistic as far as just having another guy looking at the defense rather than just Vrabel.
Yeah, I mean, it needed to happen. A lot of players during the season for the Titans seem to have an outcry for a lack of just clear focus on the defense and what the motive was as far as anything beyond play aggressive and do your part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it seems like now at least someone will be looking at strategy, kind of being making the building the chessboard, kind of making the strategy, calling out for checkmates.
Yeah.
You know what I mean. I think that's definitely going to be a more effective way of coaching a defense than just kind of being like, defense this week is going to be this. This worked one time in 2015. Let's just do it again.
I guess any defensive coordinator is better than no defensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as offensive coordinator goes, Todd Downing, it worked when we promoted Arthur Smith from the position. So, I mean, throw the same dart.
Yeah, I mean, you hit some darts, you miss some darts. But it's unlikely that you'll strike lightning in the same spot. But maybe he'll be just as good as like a Matt LaFleur type. I don't think... Or maybe even worse than that, but not terrible. Maybe as good as like a, who's a good offensive coordinator in this league. That's I can't think of any off the top of my head, but there's been solid offenses.
Sean McVay.
Yeah,
Pete Carroll.
Yeah, there's been solid offenses throughout this league that weren't explosive.
Yeah.
And I think it's hard to keep an offense explosive every year unless you have Patrick Mahomes or Tyreek Hill or, some sort of playmaker every single play that can totally dominate the field,
I think both do send a message that we are trying to continue on the foundation we're building, that we'll see a very similar offense and defensive scheme at least.
And I think an interesting part of this, if Arthur Smith goes and doesn't win a lot in the Falcons and Todd Downing is starting to get head coach looks after this next season, is it really just Derrick Henry? Is it just Derrick Henry the only player that's really the factor, the only main piece on this chessboard that's really moving the stakes?
Yeah, since he has popped off, the Titans have gotten a lot of recognition. Whether it's Arthur Smith and his play calling ability, Ryan Tannehill's touchdowns going up, interceptions going down, AJ Brown getting Pro Bowl nominations, even offensive linemen. I mean, Ben Jones was a center for us for years, well before Derrick Henry came around, and I don't think he was regarded so well before Derrick Henry even 2 years ago. So there might be some truth to that, honestly.
Yeah, and who knows? It might just be Derrick Henry's team, but I think that's still an interesting question to ask and watch next year for sure.
Yeah.
Whenever we get to the next NFL season, I'm still so surprised it's already over.
Yeah, I mean, Super Bowl week, and then we'll have another brand new season in about half a year.
Yeah, and by March we'll have the draft again. So
yeah,
but we still have to talk about though. I think the only time where we'll hit like a drought will probably be the summer.
Yeah, and basketball's done. Draft is over.
Yeah.
No combine.
Yeah, we'll see if, even the world exists by then. We'll probably get hit by an asteroid by then. Who knows?
Yeah.
But anyway, I think it's probably worthwhile to go ahead and move on to the next topic. You cool with that? Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's go next to, what do we got next on the docket? Kirk Cousins, potentially to the 49ers.
Yeah. Just continues to show no quarterback sacred.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested to see if this trade ended up happening. It would be an interesting trade to say the least. I think that the difference between the 49ers and the Vikings is that they have a better defense. The 49ers having the better defense in that comparison.
Yeah.
But good. Both have good run games. I just don't know if I think that you're getting worse wide receivers with the 49ers. I don't know. How do you feel about this?
From the bottom up, it's apples to oranges. I mean, Kirk Cousins, I think, is a Jimmy Garoppolo caliber quarterback. I think the 49ers have a Minnesota caliber offense. You could take any of the guys, but specifically Raheem Mostert from last year for the 49ers, and maybe not get Dalvin Cook, but throughout the longevity of a 16-week season, switching those two out, compare their stats to Dalvin Cook, and I think you get something similar. I agree with you with wide receivers. You're getting weaker wide receivers, but I mean, it's just so close. I don't know why these teams would do it.
I feel like it's a horizontal move rather than a vertical move.
Yeah.
Like if you were trading, like, let's say you're shipping your whole house out to get Watson, I would understand that, Or if you were, let's say Aaron Rodgers was even on the market, which apparently the Packers have confirmed he's not by declining their trade. But let's say even, Aaron Rodgers was on the market, it would make more sense to trade for him because you're trading vertically.
Yeah.
This is just like a horizontal trade. You're moving sideways,
Yeah.
You're getting another Jimmy Garoppolo with a slightly better ankle who's getting a little older.
Yeah, an older one with a stronger ankle. That is a good way to put it.
Yeah, I'm just not sold on this trade idea at all. I don't know. I just think Kirk Cousins could probably be a manageable quarterback, good game manager, Alex Smith type,
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of, maybe even a Ben Roethlisberger type where he can just kind of, when Ben Roethlisberger had a run game, that is, just kind of manage the game, hit a couple big throws a game. Ryan Tannehill even.
Yeah. They're not going to cost you a game.
Yeah. They're not going to, I think Kirk Cousins can be that guy week in and week out on a good team. But I don't know if he's worth, shipping the moon and, the stars over.
Yeah, and I think if this trade happens, the winner is whoever gets the better picks because it is a horizontal trade like you're saying. The only positive I think you can inherit is good draft stock.
I agree. And I think it would make sense for the Vikings to try to start to move off of Kirk Cousins. I forgot his name for a second. It would make sense for the Vikings to move off of Kirk Cousins' contract. He has the first ever fully guaranteed contract ever.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, and while I believe they would get a bunch of cap hits.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like it might be worth it to kind of bring in some young talent, bring in Garoppolo, let him kind of be the transferring quarterback to the next era, whoever they decide to bring in after that.
I think every offseason you have to look back at the last offseason with some sort of reflection. And if you're the Vikings, even though you got a first-round pick for Stephon Diggs and DeAndre Hopkins got a second, with Stephon's performance this year, you lost in that trade. You can't let that happen again.
I mean, they have a Justin Jefferson now, though.
I mean,
I think...
Was Justin Jefferson who they drafted with that pick? Is that right? That's sounding right.
I want to say that was the pick. It might have been just they had another pick. They traded with the Bills, correct?
Yeah, that was with the Bills. I think at the very least you have to look at that, look at the talent you have, the position, and the role they play. Their wide receiver core is still strong without Stephon. Their running back is top 3 in the league as far as starters go. It's just, is Kirk Cousins holding it back, keeping it going, or somehow keeping it all together? I think he's holding it back, but I don't know if Jimmy Garoppolo is going to keep it steady.
No, I'm not sold on that at all. Looking back at who the Vikings picked, I believe they picked Justin Jefferson, or maybe I think Justin Jefferson was their own pick, and then they picked Jeff Gladney, cornerback, as their pick from the Bills.
Well, I guess they did subsidize the talent they lost, and then even got new young talent. So good for them. Yeah,
and I think Justin Jefferson at the end of his career, I think he'll have a higher ceiling than Stephon Diggs does.
I think injury is a big part of it. I don't think shows any wear or tear. But as far as just this year, Stephon Diggs, I think, is a big reason why they made it as far as they did.
I agree. But honestly, for some reason, Stephon Diggs is never... I don't know. I hear a lot of sportscasters who are like idiots on TV say this, but he never pops off my screen.
Yeah.
I watch, I see one game a week, or one play a week from Stafford Diggs, and it's like, wow, that was a good play.
Yeah.
And it's like, beyond that, he just kind of seems like he's quiet. Maybe it's just the games that I've tuned into.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I haven't seen a whole lot from Stafford Diggs where I'm like, wow. It's usually just like that was a really good play. That's a really good wide receiver. Not a great wide receiver, you know? And I think Justin Jefferson will be a great wide receiver. I don't see him deteriorating from where he is now. I mean, unless losing Cousins is part of it.
Yeah, we might see. I will say, though, as far as Stephon, I got to defend the Minnesota Miracle. That was insane.
Yeah. And on all honesty, he made a great play, made a great catch. But I think at the same time, you got to look at it like... Diggs, you know, the safety who was trying to get him missed the tackle. You know, and when the safety misses a huge play like that, you kind of have to give it some of the credit to the safety rather than just, negative credit, that is, to the safety. Because, the Minnesota Miracle was a miracle, you know. There's a reason why it's called that.
It's a fun story. But you do have to look at what the defense did. And that's a safety and a corner just colliding together and, pulling their own pants down.
Yeah. And, pulling their own pants down. I just heard what you said.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got a case of the Mondays. But no, yeah. I don't know. I'm interested to see what happens overall with this trade. I think it'd be an interesting topic, at least. I feel like it'd probably be the least interesting out of all the quarterback trades and movings that's happening this year. But, even maybe see if you could trade for Jameis Winston or, PJ Walker from the Panthers or
Marcus Mariota.
Yeah,
if injuries happen and teams get desperate, there's plenty of backups and starters that apparently are targets.
I think that's more the key for the 49ers this year. I think it's more targeting a solid, maybe veteran backup, like a Ryan Fitzpatrick if he's going to get moved or something.
Yeah, Tua.
Yeah, Tua.
There's a competition there, and whoever loses, you can get.
I'm interested to see if this trade happens, but I think the 49ers are better served in other ways.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if quarterback play is their biggest downfall.
I agree. Well, let's go next to the Houston news this week. There's tons of Houston news.
Yeah.
Not only the Texans, but also the Rockets. Rockets currently on a 5-game win streak. taking down the... Who was the last one that they beat? I literally just had this pulled up, and I knew it. Who was it? The Rockets just beat... Oh, goodness. I'm so unprepared. I had it pulled up. They beat the Pelicans. My bad.
Oh, wow, that's right.
Yeah, so the Pelicans with Zion Williamson and all of the Lakers, like young guys from a couple years ago, before they actually won the championship. So we beat the Wizards, then we beat the Trailblazers, and we beat the Pelicans. Even before that, we started this win streak off by barely beating the Pistons and then smacking the Mavericks 133-108. So it looks good. You know, we're beating teams with stars. You know, Mavericks having Luka Doncic. Wow, one more time. Hold up.
Yeah, no, you got it.
I got this. Luka Doncic.
There it is.
And then the Wizards having, obviously, Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal.
Yeah.
The Trailblazers have C.J. McCollum and Damian Lillard. Dollar Dame can hit any shot from anywhere. Closest comparison to James Harden we have right now in the league. And then the Pelicans, obviously, having Zion Williamson, all these other stud players that can't be stopped.
Yeah, if you had shown me this part of your schedule and asked me to predict it, I would say at least 3 L's. Definitely not 5 wins. 5 impressive wins, too.
Yeah, and currently up double on the Thunder right now, 48-24.
Good.
So I don't know. I think this is a good streak for the Rockets, potentially making our ways into the playoffs this summer. I'm excited to see where the Rockets take this team. I don't know if this slows down. You know, when you get on a streak like this.
Yeah.
I remember the Rockets going on 10, 11 win streaks last year, and I was like, yeah, that's what I want to see.
Yeah, the next month is rough for the Rockets, but looking into the rear view mirror and seeing what you've done to get these 5 wins, I mean, trade off one of your best talents ever. Mm-hmm. And honestly, not get that much immediate help now from it, more a look into the future, and still beat these impressive teams and looking like you're going to get a 6th win. Momentum's a huge factor in any sport.
I agree, and I think it'll carry into these harder games that we have coming on the stretch.
Yeah, Heat, Nets.
Yeah, Heat, Nets, Pelicans, Wizards rematch, Mavericks rematch, 76ers. Looking through Raptors, Grizzlies twice. It's gonna be a tough stretch, but I think that we could probably pull out some good W's through this stretch. Second bit of Rockets news before we get to the Texans is PJ Tucker wants a trade.
Yeah.
PJ Tucker last year, our center for some reason, because we just didn't like centers last year. It was an interesting move, trading Clint Capella, who was our previous center, and just basically having a bunch of short guys play really hard on defense was our defensive strategy.
It was a fun experiment, a fun modern experiment for the NBA.
Yeah, just all 3-point shooters, and then just play really hard on defense, no matter how tall you are.
Yeah, short king.
Yeah, short kings rose up last year. PJ Tucker wants a trade because they can't agree to a contract extension, I believe. I think he's a really good player, really solid. 6th man on most teams, maybe even a starter on a lot of teams. Good power forward that I would like to see continue to play for the Rockets, but it doesn't seem like it'll happen. But, maybe trade for give up a little bit of the new capital you have and see if you can start trading for some good, superstars.
An upgrade now, a great point. The Rockets are they're in a unique position where they have to ask themselves, after 5 wins and what looks like we could get 3 or 4 more in the next month, do we shift to a win now team or do we continue to accumulate draft capital and younger talent?
Yeah, and I think, if you are able to accumulate more stars this year, it can lead to a really good playoff run where we have we have Victor Oladipo, we have John Wall, we have Christian Wood. There'll be enough players there to put together that championship puzzle potentially for a year.
Yeah, and PJ's still there right now. I mean,
Yeah.
There is a chance that you start to talk with other teams and they find interest in the draft stock you have, or a player that they didn't know was on the table.
Mm-hmm.
A lot can happen, but the Rockets are in a good place right now, and I didn't think they would be.
Mm-mm. I did not either. I thought it would be a much grimmer season. Rockets currently still up double, 50-25. I'll continue to give score updates. It's currently second quarter.
Nice.
Already scoring 50 points at the
Nice.
start of the second quarter.
Yeah.
So we'll see how far the Rockets are able to take this game, but I love it so far. I think the next bit of Houston news we had was Deshaun Watson officially telling the Texans he wants a trade.
Yeah, PJ's not the only one that wants out of town. Watson for a lot longer.
Yeah, Watson has been what's the saying? Crawling and scratching, trying to get out of Houston. It's funny to watch because he's been leaking to his manager, all these things, trying to get the news out there, and finally was like, I'm requesting a trade now.
Yeah, and a complete parallel to Houston, or Watson's just inability to work with Houston. Houston is saying there are no plans to trade their young stars. So
no,
we are at a screeching walk with them trying to pull each other away. Not a good look.
No, and even on the other side now, it's confirmed J.J. Watt wants out of town. So, probably the only two stars, I would consider Watson much more of a star than Watt at this point in his career.
At this point in his career.
I think this is a much bigger deal than most people are making it out to be, because this could be like, the complete undoing of what the Texans have been,
Yeah.
The Texans aren't great, but they've been playoff teams for a couple years before this year, so.
Yeah, and I like to shit on the Texans. I really do, but I have to give credit. 2 years ago, the AFC South was Andrew Luck, a potential talent in Marcus Mariota, or I should say 3 or 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. Deshaun Watson and a potential quarterback in Blake Bortles. That was a competitive scene, and the Texans held their own. They were a playoff team. They won that division.
Yeah, several years.
Yeah, and now they just compete with the Jaguars to see who can lose the most games.
Yeah, who can get the highest overall pick.
Yeah.
And it sucks to see it. And I feel like they're continuing this losing little streak they're on by hiring David Culley.
Oh, my God. He just doesn't seem... He seems like the one guy that said yes.
I agree. It feels like it's just someone easy that they can control, similar to the Dan Campbell hiring, similar to the Titans hirings. David Culley was the former Ravens assistant head coach. I believe he was also, what is he? The defensive passing coach and something else. There was one other position he had, maybe wide receivers coach as well. But he had like 3 titles.
A lot of hats.
He wore a few hats, but it wasn't enough hats to accumulate to HC, in my opinion.
Yeah. There's
only 32 jobs in the NFL, and I think those jobs need to be way more looked into and way more you need to grade people much higher than, a David Culley or a Dan Campbell.
Yeah, and specifically to hyper-focus on Houston and this absolute clown show that David Culley has inherited. You've lost DeAndre Hopkins. J.J. Watt wants out. Watson wants out. Your staff is basically telling you how to run this organization. You have no freedom. And you're supposed to just keep it going with David Johnson, a shitty offensive line, and an old defense.
Yeah. What do you do with it?
Yeah, I mean...
You gave up Tyrann Mathieu. You gave up, all these players. Is Whitney Merciless even still there? I bet he's just injured. I
thought Whitney went to the Patriots.
He might have. I don't know. If you don't mind looking that up real quick.
I will absolutely check that.
But I just think the Texans are just not moving in the right direction at all. I think their focus should be trading away these stars. Should be gaining draft capital, because what are you going to do with what you have right now? You don't have a first round pick. You don't have, there's teams right now who would be willing to give up a starting quarterback to get Deshaun Watson, and several picks to follow that as well.
Yeah, it could be 4D chess, and they could be saying there's no plan to trade so they don't get undersold. Whitney Merciless is still a Texan, but 30 years old at this point. I mean, much like J.J. Watt, not a lot of production out of it in the sense of accolades and awards for that player.
Yeah, and I don't understand the Texans. If I were them, everyone wants out. It's just like, okay, get out. We'll start a whole new era.
That's what Miami did, sending Ryan Tannehill away, and even just getting a 4th round pick. Tannehill wanted out. You get Adam Gase out. You get that left Cameron Wake out. Devontae Parker out.
Yeah,
Byron Jones, I think, even went to the Colts during this time.
Byron Jones went from the Cowboys to the
to
the Dolphins.
There was definitely a corner that they traded, and I think got a 2nd round pick for. But he
You're thinking of Minka Fitzpatrick to the Steelers, which was a 1st round pick.
Yeah, I mean, they just said okay, and honestly, the Dolphins are better for it.
I agree. They lost a lot of talent. But at the same time, when you're not a successful franchise, just ship house. Ship your good guys. Redraft. Become a young team. Young teams are easier to coach, easier to mold.
Yeah.
A lot of talent, a lot of years left in their career. It's just like, figure it out,
It looks like they're going down a spiral, much like the Lions did with Stafford for years, and that didn't work out.
Yep. Sorry. I'm in the yarn. Get the Mondays. I believe that is all for the Houston stuff. Did you have any other thoughts before we continue on?
No, that does knock out Houston. A lot going on in the sports world there.
I agree. Well, let's go finally to the Super Bowl revisit section for just a minute. Previously last week, we had predicted the Super Bowl. Both of us chose Tampa, which was interesting. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I chose 27-24 Tampa. Dallas had 34-28 Tampa as well. I think this game is really going to open up the conversation between Patrick Mahomes versus Tom Brady. I heard a couple people say it throughout the day, and it's kind of making sense. I think it seems like after this game, there might be some Patrick Mahomes GOAT conversations. If Patrick Mahomes wins this game, I think he might be in the GOAT combo.
I wish I could remember who to credit this for, but I think the best I've heard it phrased is this game will solidify either Brady being uncatchable by Mahomes or give him a chance. It's either Mahomes has 1 to Brady's 7, or he has 2 to his 6.
Yeah, like if Mahomes never beats Brady in the postseason, does that just like solidify Brady as the GOAT? I think so. I think even if Mahomes won the same amount of Super Bowls, if he was never able to take down Brady in the postseason, what does it mean,
We're such a far way away from having someone else take GOAT status, at least in the NFL, from Brady. Even if Mahomes beats him this upcoming week, Super Bowl weekend, he will be at 2 Super Bowls back-to-back versus 6. We'll need 4 more years. At the very least, it's going to be 2025 when we can say, well, Mahomes has the same amount of Super Bowls as Brady.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if he'll need to get to the same amount, though. If you look at the way Mahomes plays, it's just so electric. Like, you look at Bill Russell, who was, like, won 11 championships in, like, the 50s and 60s, I believe. In the NBA, that is. You look at someone like Bill Russell, and it's like, well, yeah, he was really good, but, like, even he wasn't as good as Wilt Chamberlain, for that time period. And obviously Brady's in a whole different conversation beyond players of that caliber, just if you compare the NBA and NFL in that regard.
Yeah.
He's beyond players of that caliber. But at the same time, you look at where Brady is now, and you look at where Patrick Mahomes is now, I'm thinking 2 to 3 more Super Bowls for Mahomes, and I think he's way in that conversation. I think he might win it, and most people, I think it might be a 50-50 Jordan, LeBron split kind of thing.
He would have to do a lot, I think, to earn the GOAT status and not get at least 5 Super Bowls. Even if the stats go to show that they kept up with him, I mean, Drew Brees and Peyton Manning aren't far behind Tom Brady in a lot of stats, and we don't see them in the same regard. And I think that does go to Super Bowl wins.
Yeah. I think someone said it super well, where they looked at like the first 2 years of both Brady and Mahomes' like careers playing as a full starter all year long.
Yeah.
And it was interesting to see because Mahomes just blew Brady out of the water in almost every statistic. And while, I give credit to Brady because of his decision making, his ability to, move in the pocket and just kind of stay in there, step up, make that big throw, be accurate on the little throws, fine tune the small things. Where if Mahomes stays at the caliber he's at for the next 3 or 4 years, wins a few back-to-back, Yeah. Because Jordan only won 6 championships. Bill Russell won 11.
Fundamentally, I absolutely agree with what you're saying. That from a talent prospect, Mahomes is the better quarterback. I think not just currently in the NFL, but he has the potential to continue to do this longer than Brady did. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, from a national media standpoint and GOAT status, I don't know if Mahomes will get that representation if he doesn't continue to pump out Super Bowls like Brady did, because Drew Brees didn't.
And it could be. I think also Brees and Brady are kind of on a similar kind of effectiveness, if you will. I feel like a Brees on the Patriots probably would have been a really good team as well.
Yeah.
I think that they would have had a lot of success with Brees at the Patriots. But in all the same, I just feel like Mahomes is going to edge himself a little bit closer in this conversation with the win this coming Sunday.
Are you changing your prediction? Or are you saying he would have the potential if he upset the Bucks?
I've made a decision. I'm no longer voting against Tom Brady or betting against Tom Brady, and I'm not until he's done, until it's clear he's done, and even then I'll be cautious.
Yeah.
Even if he's not playing in the NFL, I might consider saying that he'll win on Sunday, just because.
Yeah, it's not natural to say otherwise.
Yeah, he could be at golfing tournament.
Yeah. Kissing his son.
Kissing his son while hitting a hole-in-one.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to win no matter what he does.
It's true. He's the best kisser of sons. It's true.
The best golfer, best quarterback, best son kisser.
It's quite the lineup of
I mean, top 3 titles.
Another man with many hats.
But I guess I'm trying to agree with you is don't bet against him. I did a couple times this season, and here he is.
And now that I think about it, don't bet against the Chiefs. It's a tough matchup, but I'm going to stick with my pick. I think Brady's just going to have a little bit of luck right at the end. Going to get someone offsides.
Yeah.
Someone's going to screw up something. He's going to go right down, score a field goal, win the game.
He's just dialed in. Statistically, if we do want to talk about just the stats, this is one of the best playoff seasons Brady's ever had. He's playing some of his best football right now.
At 43.
At 43 years old, new team, new offense, new head coach, 10th Super Bowl appearance. I'm not betting against him.
Yeah, and one other point I wanted to make about the Chiefs, I think this will be the last bit I have on this one, but I think the Chiefs' safeties are going to be a bigger factor than most people consider them to be. You have Tyrann Mathieu and I can't remember the other dude's name. The other safety's name on the Chiefs. They're both so good, and I think with Brady having some struggles in the deep game, deep passing that is earlier in the year, now kind of button that up. been more of an intermediate passer, had a couple big ones when they get the shot. It seems like this might be the deciding factor if the Chiefs were to win. Their safeties in that backfield able to either A, go in and blitz Brady, or B, be back there to pick off Brady. It should have been 4 picks last week against the Packers.
Yeah.
And they dropped one. So this could be, a Chiefs defense that's an inch better than the Packers, totally dominating Brady. But I'm still going to side with Brady in this one. I don't bet against Brady in the bowl.
Yeah, I think on the defensive side, as far as secondary, Tyrann Mathieu can beat you in the run, in the pass. Juan Thornhill, I know, is a free safety for them. Mm-hmm. I honestly wasn't extremely impressed from the free safety position. I think Tyrone does bail them out a lot, but they have good corners, and their front four are just so hard to beat.
The other safety I was referring to is Daniel Sorensen.
Sorensen, that's right. He was all right. He had a couple picks, 3, 5. It was something. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it was one of those numbers. But
yeah, I didn't forget about him.
Yeah, he's also known as Dirty Dan. He's a solid dude. He plays really well. I think alongside Tyrann Mathieu, it helps him. Makes him look a little better. Yeah. But at the same time, he looks really good on his own.
One thing I will say, I will praise the Chiefs' defense, but not only will I not bet against Brady, but this Buccaneer defense is better than the Chiefs.
Yeah, I agree. This Buccaneer defense is dominant. Might even be the best defense in the league if it wasn't for the Saints. Definitely. The Saints and the Steelers having such great defenses.
Yeah, the Steelers definitely came out hot for 11 weeks and had the best defense.
Yeah. Well, I think that wraps up the Super Bowl topic. Did you want to address anything else before we go to the final one?
No, that is the Super Bowl. Watch it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. Have a little get together, be safe. Yep. Don't have your entire family over like it's Thanksgiving or something. Yeah. Enjoy each other's company with restrictions, please.
Yeah.
For the 7 people listening each week. Please be safe next week. That's all.
Do it now so we don't have to later.
Exactly.
I don't know if we have a lot to say about our NFL teams, so we might keep it a little shorter this week and sort of just touch up on where our NBA teams are.
I do have one bit of Cowboys news.
Please.
First off, I'd like to start with saying that Jason Witten has officially retired and is now a head coach for, I believe it was Liberty Christian School.
Good for him.
It's in the Dallas area. It's in Texas for sure.
Was it 17 years, 18 years?
Like his whole life.
Yeah.
He was just in a helmet when he was born.
Your whole life.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm 20 years old. I think Witten has. Let's see what year Witten was drafted.
I want to say it was the 2002 draft, but hell of a player, and he retired for 1 year. Thought he could come back. Came back. I shouldn't say thought. He did. He played a full season.
Yeah, 2003 NFL draft was when he was picked up.
So close.
I was 2 years old when he was drafted. By the time he played, I was nearing 3. So. And now he's like one of my favorite players. I have his jersey on my wall. Yep. It's great to see him getting in the coaching game. I'd love to see him make his way to the college and eventually, see him at the NFL level. I think that'd be really awesome.
Yeah, I think he has the potential to, especially if his career starts off well. At least this chapter of it in coaching. And
also, Witten, was played for University of Tennessee.
Oh, yeah.
So Witten could eventually become the if Jeremy Pruitt, who's a total fool, doesn't work out for Tennessee, maybe Witten's the new answer in the future if he has some success at the whatever he has now.
Yeah. I mean, I think all the doors are open for him right now except for commentating because he was atrocious as a commentator.
I'd love to see him on like the Booger Mobile, that little like thing where they had Booger driving on the sideline. I want to see Jason Witten in that. He doesn't talk. He just drives around in circles around the field. I think that'd be really cool.
That'd be a good segment.
I think so too. It's
Witten's Wheels.
Witten's Wheels. It's Witten wheeling.
Witten wheeling.
And it's just him going around circles. He kind of goes, that was a good play. And he just goes past the camera, and that's it.
That's it.
He goes in front of the commentators who are actually commentating the game.
Yeah.
And, like, if there's ever a good play going on, he goes, hey, that was a good play.
Good play.
Let's keep going.
Yeah.
He's like, commentating career, fixed.
I'd watch that.
I would watch that a lot. I would watch the highlights of Jess Witten going past the camera.
The 2021 to 2022 highlight seasons, Witten's nice plays.
Yeah, I would. I'd love to see that happen. But anyway, back to more serious topics. Go ahead and tell me about your Nets.
So embarrassing loss in the last 10 seconds. You just can't let that happen. And then you turn around and you play the best team in the East or West. I can't remember, but the Clippers. We are falling, and now we are number 2 in our conference, going up against the leader in the other conference. We beat the Thunder, but that isn't necessarily a tall order. This is.
Yeah, I think you got to get through each week, and they just got to get on a win streak. I think if they get some momentum cooking, you get Kyrie going full speed, you get James Harden going full speed, Kevin Durant going full speed. They definitely have to trade for some defensive help.
Yes.
I don't know where they go, though. Hit up, see if Draymond Green is ever on the table from the Warriors. That would be a blockbuster trade as well.
I mean, we didn't have James Harden last game, and we still won. We get him back, but that isn't a defensive piece that we need, and we are committed to a win-now team. I mean, we did that by getting you involved, getting Cleveland involved, and having that trade. At this point, don't let off the gas.
Yeah, I'd love to see if they'd be willing to go to the table with teams and put Kyrie Irving on the table. I think he's not really made a huge splash this year thus far. Didn't make a huge splash last year with losing Kevin Durant all year. Still wasn't able to put it together without Kevin Durant. So, and even this year with Kevin Durant, he doesn't look great. Kyrie Irving even said himself he can't guard a stick. So throw him on the table. See what you can get out of him. See if you can get some sort of defensive help. Maybe a couple backup kind of guys, 6-man kind of guys.
Yeah, that play was the only time I've seen Kyrie since I've started to watch basketball these last 2-3 weeks. And that's very frustrating to know that he's still a talented guy. It's just not the role we need.
Yeah.
And I'm not upset if we do move on from him, really, honestly.
Were you aware that Kyrie Irving used to be a flat earther?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He recently, I believe in either last year or the year before, has renounced his flat eartherism.
So maybe that's it. Maybe he just needs to go back.
Maybe the flat earth thing, that made it. Yeah. He had a bunch of conspiracies he believed in.
Gave him an advantage on the court.
Yeah, maybe it did. Maybe it's the 5G. He needs to get the 5G in his brain. It might make him play better.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of strings that I think connect, and we may have just found another.
Kyrie Irving doesn't play well until
flat earther.
Until he's a flat earther.
Yeah.
Well, I'm interested to see if Kyrie hears this. If so, we'll link our PayPals in the description.
We should be doing that anyway.
Honestly, yeah. Cash App. Drop a little something in there, please.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Real quick, this is a total aside, but I don't even know if this is podcast worthy, but I would just like to say, people who just post on their social medias, Cash App, drop me something pretty for my birthday.
Below. Yeah.
Don't do that ever again. Don't speak to me. Don't talk to my children. Don't talk to anyone that I know. If you drop your Cash App in your social media, Dallas, don't do it.
No, I'm deleting a few social media tweets right now. Don't worry.
Okay.
Unrelated.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. I'm glad you've since deleted those unrelated tweets.
Yeah, completely unrelated to that.
I can't stand the whole Cash App, drop me something nice.
But That said, too, we'll link our Cash App. Drop us something nice, y'all.
I think it would be real sweet. I'd love a new desk for my my room, please.
Yeah, I need a new graphics card.
All right. Well, the final thing I wanted to mention before we go on to the next week is the Rockets are playing the Thunder back-to-back. And previously last year, the Rockets played the Thunder in the playoffs. This time, though, no Dennis Schroeder, no CP3, no Chris Paul. So I think this might be a much easier game than it was last time around. So far, we are 73-54 at halftime. Scoring 73 points in the first half is pretty all right with me.
Yeah, and 48 of those in the first quarter. I mean, coming out strong.
Yeah, real quick, I'm going to pull up the box score and see if I can't find where these players are.
Are you talking about the players of Thunder's past?
I was talking about the current box score.
Oh, my apologies.
As far as each individual player goes.
Yeah, for tonight.
Why is this so hard to find? Let me see if I can't pull this up on. But the current box score, Christian Wood scoring 18 points. Who knew having a center would be effective?
It helps.
John Wall already was 16. Victor Oladipo already was 16. PJ Tucker was 16. Tate was 16. So Eric Gordon with 12. House with 9. It's like everyone's playing on full speed. It's like we're a team now instead of a James Harden club.
It makes you wonder what kind of influence he could have had in the locker room and just what that relief potentially could be for your team.
Exactly. And, I'm not completely sold that getting rid of Harden is the greatest thing we've ever done. But I think it's much better move than most people considered it to be. Just because we were so James Harden centric. It was all we had. We had 3-point shooters around the edge, and then we had James Harden. Which he could shoot 3, he could hit the free throw, he could hit any other, layup, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Just couldn't play defense. So
almost an early-esque Shaquille O'Neal kind of situation. Where you just try to build around that guy who can do it all. Shaq not as good at hitting 3-pointers, but I don't think Harden was early on either, was he?
Harden was always pretty good at shooting the 3. He was always a shooting guard first.
Yeah.
So he's always been a good 3-point shooter. He's definitely improved. Definitely improved the step back, drop it in your mouth kind of thing.
Well,
but there's a similar thread that you have there where they built around one guy.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And that is a parallel between those two, the Lakers of the late 2000s, early 2000s, and the Rockets of a couple years ago.
I appreciate you reaching in and saving me. I am still learning about basketball and what I missed when I took a step back the last decade.
No, but that was definitely a good comparison to make. I think definitely that they were kind of a bit Harden-centric.
Yeah.
Where they needed to diversify who they were as a team.
It can be a problem.
I agree. I think that wraps up everything that we have for this week, though. I think, everyone go watch G Ripple, like we said.
Yeah.
Be safe.
Yeah.
Take care of your family. Take care of your grandma. Call your grandma.
Yeah.
Call your grandma this weekend. That's your homework from Coach Potatoes.
Call your grandma.
I'm going to call my grandma after this.
Yeah. Tell us how it went in the comments.
Exactly.
How's your grandma?
How's Mary Lou?
How is she?
Is she still single?
Let us know. It's always fun to give y'all our
Go ahead. You got
our sports commentary and just other hijinks. Thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, we will be back next week. Y'all have a good one.